sales surge after Tennessee school bans the acclaimed graphic novel. Which, I'm sure some people saw that coming.
Did you finish reading it?
I did not.
Or did you get through part 1? Because it's a 2-part.
Yeah, I got through part 1.
I wanted to get MetaMouse because it includes recordings with Art Spiegelman's father, and it's just.
Do you want to look up the little trailer thing that we found for MetaMouse?
Yeah.
So we can watch that.
Yeah. He's a neat cat. He kind of reminds me of Robert Crumb if Crumb was rated a little less raunchy.
He does kind of remind me of Crumb. MetaMouse by Art Spiegelman. It's basically like a Blu-ray DVD of the Mouse
DVD
books. Yeah.
Mouse is a comic about a father and son trying to understand each other. I think it's more directly that than it is about the Holocaust, you know?
You know, Mouse has had a far larger impact in the world than I ever expected. 25 years ago, I'd only hoped it might be discovered sometime after I died. It's swell to get recognition, but it's kind of hard to be seen behind a mouse mask. The book seems to loom over me like my father once did. And journalists and students still want answers to the same few questions. Why comics? Why mice? Why the Holocaust? Yikes. Or to quote my forefathers,
Oi.
Oi!
But I thought I'd finally try to answer as fully as I could. That way, when asked in the future, maybe I could just say, never again. And maybe I could even get my damned mask off. I can't breathe in this thing. Rip. Oh.
Everybody was running in a few minutes.
Oh, that's his dad, right?
Yeah, Vladik.
Yeah.
And I love the scene that he talks about. Oh, it's so.
Should we explain Mouse, I guess? Mouse is basically a art. It's like a comic book based on the interviews that he did with his dad, right?
And his dad's point of view.
Yeah, his dad's point of view being a Jew during the Holocaust in, where were they? Germany?
Poland, I believe.
His dad was German, though, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember because, country lines were very fluid.
Yeah, they actually talk about that.
Yeah, they do.
In the book, that it's like one year you're Polish, the next year you're Austrian, the next year you're German. Yeah, you can, which is crazy to think about now in a day and age with such fixed borders. I guess not including what's going on in Russia right now with the Ukraine. Yeah, so these recordings here that we're hearing on the book trailer are Art's dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
The Germans, they had a big order, and they did something, they did it very good. This I have to add, that they did right. And so they did also, of course, was the finishing so many millions of Jews so systematically that it went a very long time that people didn't know even that they are going to be buried in the gas chamber till the last minute. A lot of people didn't know this.
At the time I was trying to figure this out, I went to sit in on some classes. A friend of mine, Ken Jacobs, a filmmaker and very wonderful teacher at SUNY Binghamton, was showing some old animated cartoons in his class with cats and mice romping around. And then he was showing some racist cartoons from the same period, and it became clear that there was a connection between the two, that Al Jolson was Mickey Mouse without the ears. At that point I said, I have it, I'll do a comic book story about the Ku Klux Cats and a lynching of some mice. And although I had my flirtation with Batman as part of learning how to read, superheroes didn't really hold my interest very long. I really liked the satire magazines, the comic books that made fun of the culture around me. Those were the ones that really seemed to be talking about television, advertising, politics, in a way that said primarily the grown-up world is lying to you. And this was the Rosetta Stone that would let you kind of break the code and see what was really going on in the world.
I've always liked that about comics and certain other forms of like underground, less mainstream media, is that it can kind of get away with like talking about heavier subjects and sometimes in a lighter, easier to digest manner. MetaMouse looks really cool. We definitely have to add that to the collection at some point.
It's never on thrift books. It is on Amazon, but it's very expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, it's both part 1 and part 2, and then the little DVD, right? And then his own book.
No, I think
attached to
it's
it.
just the in-depth.
Oh, of making.
But the
okay.
issue a lot of people run into is it's a CD, and a lot of laptops don't have
drives anymore.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing to be a problem. All right, let's read this. Mouse sales surge after Tennessee school bans the acclaimed graphic novel. Following the controversial Tennessee school district banning of the graphic novel Mouse by Pulitzer Prize-winning Art Spiegelman, sales of the source material have surged. Just days after the banning made national news, 2 editions of the graphic novel have reached the top 20 on Amazon and are in limited supply, according to the Associated Press, with Mouse reaching number 12 early Friday evening. Oh, wow. The delivery date was backed up all the way until mid-February, as per the report. The complete Mouse, which also includes the second volume, was out of stock and at number 9 on the site's sales rankings. That's a stark contrast compared to the beginning of the week, when neither edition even cracked the top 1,000. When the news began to get national attention, Sandman comic book author and Good Omens showrunner Neil Gaiman weighed in on the situation, stating in a viral tweet Wednesday, "There's only one kind of people who would vote to ban Mouse, whatever they are calling themselves these days." That is pretty funny. A big argument they used in it was that there's a swastika on the cover.
Ooh.
Well, my whole thing was, it's like, does seeing the swastika make you uncomfortable? I think that's kind of the point of putting it on the front of the book, is to show you that, hey, you want to feel discomfort? We're just going to put this right on the front here so you can feel the discomfort we used to feel about it.
And how much of a fucking pussy do you have to be? There's a cat version of Hitler in the middle of the swastika that's basically censoring a part of it. So it's not the original image.
It's covered.
Yeah. So what's wrong, Snowflake? The mice in blankets makes me uncomfortable. They make me think of the migrant children in cages.
Oh, good lord. I mean, yeah.
It is the train of thinking.
Well, it's
in so many words.
We have to embrace these things that make uncomfortable topics palatable for the younger generation, so that that history isn't forgotten. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what is gonna do. Like, I don't know if comics and like this depiction are necessarily the way that every single historical story can be shown.
No, it's a powerful medium, and it's how the author chose to express the story, and frankly, I think it's very well done, because even though they use mice and very minimal facial expressions, it conveys a lot, and especially in black and white.
Yeah, it's a very powerful comic. Definitely something I would recommend reading, especially if you're into if you're a history buff, if you're into stuff like that.
Animal-based stories. That's
true.
Always a big catch for me.
Animal, anything with anthropomorphic animals, I'm down for. I'm here for it. Documentarian Ken Burns expressed the similar disgust at the situation, saying on Twitter, "The history of the Holocaust includes the banning of books. Mouse is a work of art that has helped generations understand Nazi brutality and how they dictated what people could think, read, and say. When you become fearful of ideas, you forfeit your freedom," he said. The history of Holocaust includes the banning of books. Oh yeah, here it is, guy. Yeah. A lot of people share it. Like, I was kind of surprised that it got like news coverage.
Mouse has been in publication for a while. I want to say late 70s or early 80s.
I understand why it got news coverage. I guess it's just been so long since I've heard about it, that like I kind of thought we were over this. You know what I mean? I thought we were done. The conversation about Mouse was done, over. Like,
you know, I'm rather curious now to see if these people are going after Weisel's Night
in the same way.
Yeah.
I believe some are. I think that's why there was a story I covered on yesterday's stream about a Texas school that was banning a bunch of books that were about the Holocaust, and I think Night was one of the books that they found fault with. I just don't understand. Like, what's it called? Yeah, because in the article they mention, or it might have been a different article that I saw, but they mentioned that if you think this is like inappropriate for a child to read, just remember that this is stuff happening
to
a child, at the time. So like, don't think this is something that you should shelter your kids from. This is something that like kids went through.
There's a few books like that. I know I was forced to read in, I think, middle or high school. Night was one of them. A Child Soldier was another. I don't think that was the name of the book, but it was about a child soldier.
There was one called like Accounting of Stars or something like that.
That doesn't sound familiar. A Child Called It was another one.
Oh my lord.
Did you have to read that one?
No. I remember that like that was a question that I asked my teacher, and they were like, that's for more advanced reading. That's for like more mature readers. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
It sticks with you.
The comic book is autobiographical, depicting Spiegelman's father's experiences in concentration camps. The illustrations depict mice as persecuted Jews and cats as German Nazis. There are sections of the book where graphic depictions of Spiegelman's mother, also a Holocaust survivor, are presented in a drawing as a nude human woman having committed suicide in a hot tub. You okay?
Yeah, just tickle my throat. I'm sorry.
Need some water? We got water right here. You got water right here? Okay, yeah. Alright, cool. And I personally am not a believer that we should like hide things like suicide from kids. I feel like suicide is one of those things that the sooner you teach kids about it, the sooner they can identify those feelings in themselves and then share them, and you can prevent them from wanting to kill themselves.
They actually teach you, if you're going to work in the mental health field, to openly ask, are you planning on killing yourself? Verbatim.
That. Oh, yeah. I imagine you would have to be very open about it.
Yeah, you don't beat around the bush.
Yeah, you can't beat around that bush.
But you ask that verbatim, too, if you start seeing signs, like if the person starts giving away valuables, you know, is overly manic.
I've heard, like, if you know somebody who's, like, super depressed and quiet and to themselves all the time, if they're all of a sudden, like, super extroverted and happy, like for no reason with no change.
Yep. It's a mania induced from the idea of suicide.
It's about to be over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
tough
to think about.
Do you know what they call attempts? I don't know if this is the universal term, but they call it dress rehearsals.
Oh my god. Dress rehearsals.
I've only heard it once. But
that's morbid.
I know. But when you work in those fields, you have to.
I have heard.
You have to. Like surgeons, you know, like and butchers have some of the best humor. They have to.
Yeah, I guess you have to make it through the day. According to the minutes from the board meeting, the vote for the removal of mouse from curriculum earlier this month at McKinn County School Board in Tennessee had cited inappropriate language and an illustration of a nude woman. The decision from the Tennessee School Board comes on the heels of conservative-sponsored legislation and other books pulled from the curriculum, such as Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye and Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm surprised To Kill a Mockingbird's on there. I mean, I guess. I don't really
am. I'm not. It's been banned multiple times.
I've heard it's very controversial.
Yeah.
But I guess after reading it, I never really understood why.
I don't think I've ever read it. I've heard accounts.
I remember reading it in high school, and then immediately after reading it just being like, why was this a problem? This doesn't feel like it should have been a problem.
A lot of people said that with Catcher in the Rye, too.
Yeah, in the South Park episode, they kind of addressed that, where it's like, what is this? This is some whiny bitch teenager talking about how he wants to kill himself. And it's like... How does this lead someone to kill John Lennon?